Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Etheria restart video. So in today's video, guys, we're going to talk about how to break into the Inferno stages. I've done prior videos talking about how to break into other plateaus, like how to break into Hell, how to break into Hell 3 and 4, and now we're talking about Inferno. So if you can't farm Hell 3 and 4, this is not a video for you. However, if you can, great. Where we're starting is talking about Hell 3 and 4, because that's where you have the triple matrix drops, right? These are very, very important to be able to farm, specifically on Doki Doki. It's not as important on Terramaton, but Doki Doki is very important to farm here because it drops the two different set pieces that you are going to farm a ton of. And that is Swift Rush and Time Weave. Whenever you have the triple matrices available to you, it allows you to build the coveted 12-12 set piece of Swift Rush and Time Weave, which is absolutely broken for PvE. It is nuts. Reducing skill cooldowns of your Animus is already amazing, but on top of that, what it doesn't say here, but it is true, is this also reduces or has a chance to reduce the skill cooldown of your shell. Most of us know that the shells are very, very strong in this, so if you can reduce the cooldown rate of them, why not, right? Outside of the 12-12 set piece, it's also much easier to just build characters once you have triple matrices available to you. It allows you to make use of some of your, 12-piece or your 2-piece matrix modules that you were farming up in Hell 1 and Hell 2. Just makes things easier to build to hit your matrix bonuses a little bit easier. So, very, very key. Once you're farming Hell 3 and Hell 4, the next phase, before you even jump into Inferno, you do want to go to Nico Nana Inferno. This is a much easier dungeon to farm than the Threshold dungeons. And the nice thing about this is once you're getting these drops on these shells, yes, they have the ability to drop Fury Edge and Swift Raid, which you don't have access to yet. I understand that. But whenever you have a shell that drops these, because you can only get them on Inferno, they will not drop in Hell. They won't drop here. See? On Inferno, they drop. So even if you don't have access to them, what you have the ability to do is you can utilize those shells to get the additional stats that the shell provides you. So if you see here, this shell gives you 659 attack and 40 speed. This is kind of a bad example. Hold on. This is a better example. So this is a fully awakened Jackal Guard. You see his HP is 4,000, his speed is 35. Let's go to one that has 3 matrices here. So if you check this one out, this has 40 speed. It's the same exact shell, except it has this available to it, which, again, won't matter to you. All that matters is the additional HP and speed. So that's 4,600. Here, that's 500 more HP. That might not seem a lot to you, but trust me, every little bit counts on Inferno. So 500 additional HP, 5 speed, game changer. Am I right? So even if you have farmed up a lot of the prior shells in Nico Nana Hell, where it's only 2 available, right? 2 available matrices here, and then you get a 3rd matrix drop, you can imprint onto your old set piece or shell that you had, and we'll use this count as an example, right? Let's say you have this shell farmed up and you have the passive effects and you don't want to get rid of it, but the matrices are not what you want. If you farm up a matrix that was desirable to you, like I want not this one, but this one. This is a great shell. So I want this shell's matrices, but I want the old shell's level because I don't want to spend the training data and I don't want to reroll passives and waste my chips, right? So you can click on the shell that has the right matrices that you want, and you're going to consume the old one. You do not click on the old one to imprint. You click on the brand new acquired shell with the right matrices at level 1, and then you go to the imprint area here, and then you imprint that old shell onto the new one, and it has all of the old passives. So now I have a count with the desired matrices on it, and I have all of the same passives, and I get all of the levels. I don't have to waste any training data or reconfig chips. So if you leveled up an artisan and you have undesirable matrices on here, and it's only 2 of them, and you were able to drop on the Nico Nana Inferno stage, you know, a desirable set piece that you want to imprint that old one onto this new one, and you'll see that the base stats go from 35 to 40. Game changer, okay? Again, you're going to kind of stay in here. I've talked about this in the prior videos too. You're going to farm this all the time. Even now, I'm still farming shells. And I know this is a problem within the game and they really need to fix it, because I've literally been farming like Shadow Flame Hoyon for I think a month, and full reset every single day for a month, all of my runs, and I haven't gotten one shell that I was looking for. So, no bueno. Okay, so once you're doing that, right? You're farming Nico Nana Inferno, you're getting Artisan and Gigabyte. Those are the 2 characters, sorry, the 2 shells that you are going to be targeting for sure, because they both have Swift Rush and Time Weave on them. These help you so much in mitigating the speed differential with the Inferno stages. I can't stress enough how difficult these speed requirements are to hit. I know that. Gigabyte, by the way, so much better in a stage like Doki Doki, but still serviceable within Teramaton. The reason being is Doki Doki has 5 enemies on the second wave and 4 on the first. So this is going to be activating basically every turn, right? So if you want, you can mix and match your gigabytes and your artisans in regards to depending on the dungeon. But if you have 3 gigabytes and you have 3 artisans that you can mix and match depending on the Inferno stage that you're farming, it will go a very long way. Now, when it comes to the actual Inferno stages of Threshold, there are so many free-to-play teams out there by tons of great content creators that you should go check out, much better than myself. But you need to know that your runs, when you first start doing Inferno, will not be fast and they will not be consistent. Just as reference, when I first started farming Inferno successfully, my success rate was like 40%. It was not good. But farming up Inferno stages and dropping some of these, specialized cores really allowed me to then get even better stats like out of my damage dealer, because I was able to do like a 12-8-6 matrix set piece where I could do Onslaught, Harvest, and then Fury Edge. And yes, the stats that you get from these make a world of difference. So even if you are running at a 40% clip or 50% clip, it doesn't matter. As long as you're able to eventually farm up one of these pieces, then your consistency ends up going up. It is a game changer, okay? For Teramaton, one of the easiest teams, I think, is to utilize a character like Fangus. I have a video on my channel talking about Fangus as your main DPS. Damage over time is going to be very overpowered in Teramaton. Fangus also has AoE speed down. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Super, super easy, quote unquote easy, to make work, because you don't need a whole lot of SSRs. You don't need a whole lot of lattices, gold lattices. You do have to invest in your SR characters for sure. When it comes to Doki Doki, prioritizing the Kazuyo the Reverie, 3-turn cooldown, It's going to make things so much easier because you need to control the opponent in this. If you don't know the basic interactions of the dungeon, you need to understand what makes these teams work before you can even jump into the Inferno stages. But with the latest update that the game came out with, they actually put up these rankings, which is awesome. What you can do is you can go in and you can filter out characters by the second tab, whatever this says in Chinese, I don't know. Um, but you can, like, if you don't have any LD characters, you can filter all of them out. If you don't have Kloss, you can filter her out. Same thing with Ramoka, Freya. You don't have any of them? Let's see. Okay, now here are some teams that can work. If you don't have any of those characters, the game will show you the clears that people have come up with just the characters that you own. You can also click on the shown owned animuses only, and it'll show you teams that you can build. So, plenty of resources out there nowadays. When it comes to the passives of your shells, I will say the most important thing for you to prioritize on these shells when it comes to Gigabyte and when it comes to Artisan. Let's see if we can find one here eventually. Okay. You want speed in this middle spot. I think you're going to want to prioritize rolling for either purple and up. You cannot deal with anything less than that at this stage. I know that this is painful. I know it's painstaking. But the nice thing is with the recent update that they had with the Inferno stages, they now drop that, epic shell that you can sell for a lot of training data. So it has gotten a little bit easier. So if you can roll speed here, very, very important. And then the first passive, you can roll defense if you want. Defense and HP percentage are going to be the most important rolls that you roll for here. You should prioritize that on all of your artisans and on all of your gigabytes. It'll go a long way. The last passive effect to roll for, I think a very good general one, is Dauntless, where it just reduces your final damage taken. Your damage dealer is always going to be squishy. Nothing you can do about that. But if all of your support characters are much healthier, whatever, healer you're bringing to your team compositions, they will always then prioritize your damage dealer because your other support characters are tanky enough. So I think Dauntless is a perfect passive to try and roll on all of your shells. So you're looking for HP and defense percentage. You're looking for speed. That is really it. You are just looking for speed here, nothing else. And then on the last roll, you're looking for Dauntless. It's gonna be a game changer. Okay. Now, when it comes to your damage dealers, you have two shells that I think are worth, equipping to your damage dealer. The first one is going to be White Fang, which you can farm from Nico Nana. This is going to be less impactful, I think. However, some people are going to be utilizing heroes like Didding here for maybe Aurora or Terramaton. He is certainly useful in those two dungeons, and you can get the job done with him as your DPS. Outside of that, though, a very easy cheat code to Inferno stages is the Revelation Shell. And you do not need the third matrix. You don't need the specialized core matrices on Revelation. So if you can only farm Shadow Flame Hoyon hard or hell, you only need the double matrices here. You don't need that third piece. Yes, your speed and your attack, all of those things will be a little bit less, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. Revelation is so absolutely busted in that, in PvE, you can still treat it as how it was in PvP, where you are just looking for multi-hitters to abuse this. One of the things that's nice about the shells is they're re-rollable, right? You're not locked into anything. I know some games do that where like you have to lock it in and then you can't re-roll it. It's absolutely nuts. But if you wanted to, what you can do is you can empower this and you can reconfigure it. Let's say you roll HP on a Revelation shell, which is not ideal, right? It's not ideal. But if you need your damage dealer to survive, and that's all that matters, and you wait to loop back around to your revelation, keep HP on there. You can then roll attack. And if you want to keep it there, you can. Like I just rolled this passive, and I'm not going to say override or abandon. Now, when I go back into it, like let's say we leave this stage, this screen, and we go back in here and we go to empower, still there. Okay? A lot of people don't know that. So, later on, once you have some consistent clears because your damage dealer has survived enough to just abuse revelation as the main damage dealer, and now you want to get faster clears or something like that, you can then overwrite that and have the attack percentage or whatever be a part of that shell. So just starting out, okay, just starting out on Inferno stages, Revelation itself can do all of the damage, which means that multi hitters like Freya can be used as your main damage dealer in areas like Terramaton, in Doki Doki. She can be your DPS. If you do not have Romoka, if you do not have such and such, you can use Freya in Revelation to just do all of your damage. Yes, it's going to be slow. And yes, the win rate is probably going to not be good, but you're eventually going to be able to farm up the Swift Raid specialized cores and then slap it on here. And then you get more speed and more attack. And it's much easier to build your damage dealer then. So when it comes to Revelation, the important thing to know, the most important thing to know on Revelation is you need 100% crit rate. You don't necessarily need it on your modules because if you are going up against a positive element, remember, you get that 15% innate kind of crit rate. Where do we see that? I think it's in game. Hold on, let me check here real quick. Because it shows it whenever you click on the element. Oh, actually, I probably could have clicked on it back there. So here. So the Affinity Advantage, you get an increased crit rate by 15%, and it increases your final damage by 15%. So if I'm using Freya as my main damage dealer, all she needs is 85% crit rate. Why that's important is because Revelation only procs on crits. It says each critical hit. So you need to crit. If you don't crit, it's not doing any damage. So the only thing you need to care about when it comes to your passive effects is survivability. And if you cannot get the crit rate from your modules, roll your crit rate onto this passive instead of speed, because your damage dealer just needs to deal damage and it just needs to survive. So you do want to try and have attack, but if I could give some advice, what I would say is when it comes to the Revelation users, for your modules, I would go crit rate, and then attack percentage. Because if you have mythic pieces, you're getting 80% crit rate innately from there. You can probably find a little bit of crit rate in some of your other pieces to try and get the additional 20%. Well, 10% because you come with 10% crit rate. If you can't, on your passive, your second passive here, try and roll for the additional crit rate that you need. It's truly all that you need to make your damage dealer work. You will just hunker down. You'll have tons of HP and tankiness support heroes healing back up your damage dealer, boosting your damage dealer, turn meter boosting, shielding, healing, all of that stuff to try and get them more turns so they can absolutely crush on Revelation. Now, some of these characters are better than others. Kazuya the Reverie, great example. SR character, once she's skilled up, her skill cooldown is on 3 turns. If in Doki Doki you do not have a viable damage dealer, you can run Kazuya the Reverie on Revelation and then bring in a separate control hero if you wanted to, because you're not going to be able to get enough effect accuracy and crit rate out of your Kazuya at this stage. I'm almost positive about it. But You can bring her, and you can bring like an Obel who does stun, also DOT. Um, you can also bring someone like Kraken if you wanted to. Kraken is a great option here. He can freeze, he can turn meter pushback. So you're looping back around to your Kazuyo the Reverie to deal the damage. There's other triple hitters that I think are a little bit undervalued for like Aurora or Terramaton, which is someone like Victor, who has an 8 kind of uh, survivability because he gives himself shield and he also has life steal. He also has a triple hitter. Sorry, a 3-turn cooldown 4 hitter. There's plenty of options out there. Like I said, the characters that you have should not impact how you are able to clear Inferno. No matter what your account, even if it's all rares and SRs, you should be able to do it. Okay. Um, that's I think that's all I can give you at this point. I've given you some of the necessary tools that you can look into in the game for characters that are possibly built. If you cannot find a team in here that is relatable in regards to the shells or modules, bump down to Hell 3 and Hell 4 and try and find some people there. Do not look at the OP stuff. Don't do it. I would go down here to like the B stages and look at those characters because they're most likely going to be a little bit more relatable. So yeah, guys, that's what I've got. I hope it helped, right? You're going to farm tons of Nico Nana Inferno. You're going to, again, probably be in there 2-3 weeks, farming up enough training data, farming up the right matrices. So for Artisan and for Gigabyte, you're looking for Swift Rush Time Weave. That is what you're looking for. Even on your healers, if you can put them on Swift Rush Time Weave, do it. Okay? Farm a lot of Health 3 and Health 4 where you're getting triple matrix drops of the Time Weave and the Swift Rush. You can still keep some of the 2 matrix pieces for Swift Rush because it will matter later on. But if it does not have a triple matrix on the Time Weave, I don't think you should keep it at this point in the game. It's going to be too detrimental to your account. Okay? So yeah, you're going to live here. And then at that point, once you're about to break into Inferno on threshold dungeons, that's when you're going to start rolling the necessary passives that I just told you. You're going to imprint the triple matrix shells to get the additional speed, HP, attack, defense, all of those things. And you're going to be looking for defense, you're looking for speed, and you're looking for Dauntless. On all of your support gigabytes and all of your support artisans and on your damage dealers, if it's Revelation, you're looking for crit rate, you're looking for survivability. You can then go back to it and change the rolls again if you want to, but it's just about surviving and abusing Revelation. If you're on White Fang, you go with the typical, attack rolls, crit rate rolls, crit damage rolls, final damage rolls. That's what you're looking for. Okay, guys, I hope it helped. If you have any more comments or questions down below, please let me know. I'll try and answer them. And good luck. Catch you on the next one. See ya.